everyone, and welcome to this edition of Law Talks. I'm Ann Baldwin, and today we're talking about what you need to know about wills and estate planning. It's a really important topic that a lot of us need to pay attention to. So let's start with the basics. Define estate planning, because a lot of people have different impressions of what that actually means, Steve.
Sure, Ann. So let me tell you how we do it at Hassett George. When you call up about estate planning, we're going to get some basic information. We're going to send out a personal information form that's pretty comprehensive. It asks a lot of questions about your personal situation, your financial situation, your goals and concerns. For example, whether you have any children or beneficiaries who may have a special needs area. And we gather that information. And then when we sit down for the first time, I'll talk about what I have found on your form, get some additional information from you, ask questions. And a lot of it is based off of what you have indicated are areas of concerns. The other part of the process, obviously, is deciding on what appropriate documents to include, what specific provisions you want to have. If you have children or other beneficiaries who you want to spread that money out, you don't want to give it to them all at once. At what ages do they get it? Under what circumstances? So it's an interesting personal conversation.
And it sounds like a really customized process. It can't just be this cookie cutter approach, one size fits all, because it's based on individual family arrangements and, like you said, assets and all those kinds of things. So it's important that you fill that detailed information out. I guess my next question is then, what other documents in estate planning need to come along with that? And is that also individualized?
Well, if you're talking about some of the other key documents as part of an estate plan, such as a living will, healthcare proxy, durable power of attorney, HIPAA waiver, yes, those are all customized documents that are part of your estate plan, quote unquote.
And how often does a person need to do this? If you do it once, is it done? Or, let's say you have a fight with your sister and you want to take her out of the will. I'm sure you see a lot of that.
Absolutely.
How closely do you need to keep an eye on what you have written down?
Well, I tell people that it's a good idea to do sort of an informal audit every 3 years. And that means just sitting down, you and your estate planning documents, and looking at who you've chosen for fiduciaries, and have there been any changes? I had someone call me to say that they found out that their sister embezzled $1 million from her father's estate. She didn't want her to be the executor of her estate. So sometimes there are things that happen that give rise to the need for a change. If there's been any substantial change in your financial situation, your personal situation, it's a good idea to review your estate plan. And generally, I say at least every 5 years, give us a call and we'll take a look at it and see if there's anything that needs to be.
It's one of those things that death is hard enough to deal with. And I've seen so many families have not only that grieving to do, but then there's a mess because nobody's done an estate plan and nobody's got a will, and it just complicates what's already a horrible process.
Sure. One of the documents that we include in our plan is what's called a letter of last instructions. And it really is kind of an instruction sheet to whoever is going to take over, whether it's a surviving spouse or a child. And it indicates where your documents are, where your insurance policies are, password information for online services. Now that's a critical feature. What credit cards you have. So it's kind of a roadmap for someone to be able to look at and take over easily, and people have found it helpful.
What's your best piece of advice as we wrap up this conversation, and what should people really, what should they do? They shouldn't put it off. What should they do next?
Well, they should call the office and set up an appointment. But it's not, you said you shouldn't put it off. It's not a complicated process. It's not a hard process.
Is it expensive?
Not usually. More complicated plans get to be more expensive. But the basic estate plan is worth its weight in gold.
Well, thank you very much, Steve Basche, partner with the law firm of Hassett George. And if you'd like more information on any of the services that Attorney Basche offers, or any of the attorneys at Hassett George, we welcome you to go to their website at hgesq.com. I'm Ann Baldwin, and thank you for watching yet another edition of Law Talks.